This is the father, short and stout. This is the mother, with children all about. And this is the brother, tall you see. And this is the sister, with dolly on her knee. This is the baby, still to grow. And here is the family, all in row.
G'day, Angela. How are you?
Hi there, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Oh, it's lovely to hear a British voice. Thank you for
I know.
connecting with me, Angela. I think I'm talking to someone who's never listened to the show, and that's okay because you're only here to talk about one person, and that's Miss Kylie Minogue, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Tell us, which show did you go to?
This was my fifth, and it was the Tension Tour in Manchester. But I've also been to Showgirl. I've seen her really local in Newmarket, and also I've been to the O2, Hyde Park, and Wembley. Wow. So.
Oh, you've seen her in all kinds of places. But I've heard on the grapevine that the Manchester show for Tension in particular was... apparently she rocked the place. The atmosphere was unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely she did. It was amazing. I'm just shaking thinking about it. She just brought everything that was old back into like here and now. So, and even I took my 21-year-old daughter and she was like, I didn't realise how much I loved Kylie. And I was like, I didn't realise how much you knew the words.
But, does that mean you've been indoctrinating her for many years with the
words? She said, Mum, you always played Kylie when I was little. Of course I knew the words.
Oh, I love that. And so was this your daughter's first Kylie show?
Yes, yeah, she's never seen Kylie before. Yeah,
it must have been like, because in all honesty, I know I'm a big Kylie fan, so I'm extremely biased. But for anyone, even if you're a huge music lover, at 21 years of age to see Kylie for the first time, surely that's the only time where you would truly understand why she's a legend.
Yeah, definitely. And my daughter's a dancer as well. That is what she's doing in Manchester. So one of her teachers was up on the stage dancing with Kylie. So she was like, oh my God, that's Ainsley Ricketts. Yeah, so yeah, one of the dancers is...
What's the name? Saintly Ricketts, did you say?
No, Ainsley Ricketts.
Ainsley Ricketts is one of the dancers, and not just for the Manchester show, on the Tension Tour full stop.
That's right, yeah. So she said, I wondered where he disappeared to. He's obviously with Kylie.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So, yeah, she was overwhelmed when she saw him.
But she didn't realise he would be on the stage?
No, she didn't know where he disappeared off to.
Stop it, Angela. Stop it. Hang on. I have to go back. Let me pause and rewind. I know the Australians are a bit over the top compared to you British, so forgive my enthusiasm. But hold on. You take your 21-year-old daughter for the first time to see Kylie. So you're looking at the show through your eyes, but I would imagine as a parent myself, you're also studying the show through her eyes as well. Yeah. And at some point, your daughter, who is a dancer and loves dance and goes to a dance school, goes, hold on a second. That's Ainsley up there. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. She was like, Mum, that's my dance teacher up there dancing with Kylie.
I can't even believe what a mind blow that would. Like for any of us, if you saw someone on the stage that you knew, I don't even know.
That is incredible. I mean, she would love to be up there with Kylie as well, but she's training at the moment.
She will be one day, maybe. What do you reckon?
Yeah, she's in her third year, so she's now leaving uni. She's at Shockout in Manchester.
Okay. Wow, and that's her dream, is it, to be a professional dancer?
Yeah, she would love that. Yes, definitely.
Wow. Can I ask, through her eyes, a strange question maybe, does she think Kylie can dance?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. She's got the moves. And to think she's 56 and she is incredible. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, that's a huge inspiration for any child. Yeah.
Well, it's just that the dancers around her are obviously professional, and Kylie's, you know, you could well, clearly she's a professional dancer, I suppose, but known for, as an entertainer more than a dancer. But I've
Hmm.
always said, as an OG, right from the beginning, Kylie is very underappreciated for her dance capacity and her ability.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and she's definitely got the moves, yeah, and she knows like how to bring things, like her, like I say, her old era back into the modern day, and she's got such a huge following. So yeah,
Mm.
she is
This is
incredible, and I've followed her since Neighbours. So
Oh, good on you, Angela. High fives across the pond because so have I. So have I. So I've got to say, looking at the show through. Well, first of all, let me just say I love the fact that you've highlighted that this was a modern show because
yeah,
there was
definitely.
initially a lot of adjustment for Kylie fans. We'll call it an adjustment. Oh, this
Mhm.
isn't Aphrodite. This isn't flamboyant and theatrical. No,
Yeah,
because Kylie's deliberately trying to do a modern show, right?
yeah, it
And
was nothing like Showgirl. Yeah, it was
oh
completely
no.
different. Yeah.
And so many people that have been on this show talking about the Tension Tour have said old songs like Shocked and What Do I Have to Do, they sound like so contemporary now. Like they sound like they live in the 2025 moment.
Yeah.
So they've done a good job there. But can I ask, what was it like looking at the show through your daughter's eyes whilst trying to enjoy it yourself? Were you really trying to watch her reactions and her responses? Or
Yeah,
were you, yeah?
definitely. Yeah. I mean, the fact that she knew the words and that was like blowing me away, which was a lovely memory for us together, and silly things like, we went and purchased a burger and shared that. And, it was just lovely memories that we created.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I was concerned because I thought every time I go, I take a different person. And this time it's my daughter, so I wanted her to be as impressed as me, really, and I think she actually was. Yeah.
I know that feeling as a parent. When I took my son for the first time, you know, you're just having a bonding experience, full stop. That's for sure. But you also secretly, as she's our heroine, so you want your child to love the show as much. But it just sounds like your daughter was awestruck. What's your daughter's name?
Lydia.
Hold on one second. Apologies. I'm just going to pull that
That's
phone.
okay.
Rule number one on a podcast: mute your phone, peoples. Mute your phone. Sorry about that. So,
No,
Lydia, if
that's
you, I know you'll be listening. I'm so glad that you love the Kylie show, and I'm so glad that she's inspired you to keep going with your own dreams too. What if Kylie was listening to this, Angela? And I've heard on good authority that her camp listens to this show fairly regularly because there's so many fans on it. It's pretty special. Like we know Kylie fairly well, you and I. She would love the idea that you shared a burger and an experience that was off social media. It didn't involve a TV. It didn't involve
yeah.
a movie theater. This was a live, visceral experience with your daughter, and Kylie helped create that.
Yeah, yeah, that was incredible. And to think we were quite a way back on the ground floor, and I saw a stage and thought, do you know what? I think Kylie's going to appear on there. And Lydia was like, "Oh, how's she going to get there? Fly?" And she did the locomotion through the audience, appeared on that stage, and my daughter actually held herself back to take photos and videos of me. And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh."
that's
And
so
people were like,
sweet.
"Do you want to get forward with your mum?" And she went, "No, I want to capture this moment."
So, what you also just told me there, besides a beautiful story, is that Lydia didn't know she had no spoilers, which is
No.
fantastic. She just experienced for sure. Had you done spoilers yourself? Did you know what was to come?
No, no, I had no idea like that Kylie was going to appear on there or anything. So when she
Wow.
came down, it's like, oh my God, she's so close. She's so close to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lydia had purchased this old T-shirt, with Kylie with the big hair and the gold hot pants and that. We got a T-shirt that matched, and we cut our
Really?
T-shirts up. So Lydia cut the top off her, across the shoulders, and I cut the arms, the sleeves off of my T-shirt. So we'd done different things with our T-shirt.
Different style, but the same T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly the
Oh,
same T-shirt.
this is so cute. Oh, Lydia and Angela, I wish I'd seen you. It's so cute and it's so beautiful. I love the fact that Kylie does this with families and with people and couples. She just brings such joy.
Yeah.
Hey, Time to Talk family. This is Tim Power, host of the podcast where amateurs talk about icons. To keep our show commercial free, we rely on your support. Many of you have chucked in just a couple of bucks, or sometimes more, which lets Time to Talk Australia pay its way. There's no obligation, of course. Keep listening to us no matter what. Liking and sharing our content is also a huge help. But if you do hear something that you like and you think you can support the show by throwing in a couple of bucks, head to patreon.com/Time to Talk Australia. The link is in the description of this podcast.
Hi Tim and Time to Talk listeners, this is Danny from Melbourne, and I'd just like to say your latest podcast made me very angry.
And as always, we want your voice memos. If you've heard something that you agree with, or possibly you're outraged, and let's be fair, many of you listen simply to be outraged, then take out your phone and record a voice memo. Cap it at around the 2-minute mark and then send it to me. I listen to all the voice memos that come through and occasionally we include them in the show. Our email is timetotalkaustralia@outlook.com. Thanks for sharing, rating, contributing and donating to this very little podcast from Down Under. I genuinely love our little Time to Talk family because lovers of pop are an endangered species. So why don't we go extinct together?
So that's all I have to say. Get off the airwaves, you're such an amateur.
So when she moved from, because you reminded me of my experience. I went to Sydney show and I was looking at that middle stage thinking, well, clearly she's going to be there at some stage, but I was like, how on earth is she going to get there?
Yeah.
It is quite a surprise, possibly
Yeah, it's
even
surreal
shock.
when it happens.
I was guessing come up from under it, come up from go down like fly, as your daughter said.
Yeah.
I absolutely couldn't imagine that a megastar like of her magnitude would have the courage, and let's be honest, the courage, right? And where did that come from, Angela? It came from Vegas. You know, she's wanting to get close to her fans.
Yeah. She just locomotion through the audience.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. When she got to that B stage, what was that like for you? Because it's a pretty special moment in the show, isn't it? Where she slows it down a little bit, that disco ball comes down. What are your recollections of that moment of the show?
When she just came up, it was amazing. The dancers were just like circling around her and, you know, made her feel like centre of attention. And that's when Lydia screamed, "Mum, that's my teacher." You know? so that was the real moment for us.
So she didn't realise it was
She didn't
her
know whether
teacher.
to shout Kylie or Ainsley.
Oh, my God. So honestly, she didn't know it was Ainsley until the B stage.
No, until he got really close and she was like, "That's my teacher."
Can you describe him so that, I mean, a lot of us know Attention Tour really well through YouTube now. What does he look like?
He's just a really good-looking, kind of down-to-earth chap. Yeah,
that's
I've
all of them, Angela.
Googled it. Yeah, I mean, she obviously picks the best dancers. So he has his unique style and that. So yeah, he's just an incredible dancer. Yeah, and I mean, he even popped in to Shock Out the day after. So she met him in the corridor. So, and she was like, "I saw you at Kylie yesterday."
Oh, wow. Wow. Was she a bit
He even
starstruck
went
by
back
him
to
now?
his roots. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? That's fantastic. And by the way, I'm creating a meme in my head. All the fans listening to this podcast are now madly Googling Ainsley to find out what he looks like and who he is. This is a fantastic connection. Where's Lydia now, Angela? Is she around?
Yeah, well, no, she's still in Manchester. So
Oh,
she's
okay.
finishing uni this year. So she's got her graduation and her final show at Shockout. So, yeah, but she's done 3 years and loved every minute of it. So
Oh, yeah.
it's a great place to be. And Manchester is so vibrant. I'm so glad she went there.
So great for young people, absolutely.
Hmm.
And I was just going to ask if we could talk to her, but clearly not. So,
No.
Angela, just I promised you before you came on that this would be brief. You're in the fortress of pop culture. I hope you're comfortable. I've made you a little cup of tea. Everything's okay. But I will just ask you this: what is it about Kylie? Why do you love Kylie so much?
I think she is just level headed. She's kept herself really down to earth and she just shares the love all the time. So you just feel like part of her family. So, and that's how I want my children to feel about music and dance and, just to be a free spirit and love life. So, and yeah, that's what my eldest has just enjoyed her dance and yeah, music is such a great thing, isn't it? So
Wow.
good for you.
That's pretty special, Angela. Like, it's not only the music, it's not only the entertainment. Her as a person is someone that you want your children to aspire to
Yeah,
almost behave
definitely.
like, right? You've seen Kylie go through a lot in her career, though. You've seen her
Yeah,
growth and her
with the
evolution, right?
cancer and everything. Yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm. I'm so pleased you had a ball at the Tension Tour. You only went the once, you're not going again?
No, I would love to see it again. I thought people were crazy for wanting to see the same show again and again and again. And now I'm like, no, I can completely understand why people follow her around from, venue to venue. But we are off to Australia, and I did look up if she was there when we're there, but she's not. So, but we'll be in Sydney for New Year.
Are you really?
Yeah,
Yeah?
and my 50th. So,
Wow.
and
And
this is
Kylie's, go
yeah,
ahead.
we went 25 years ago, and we're going again for my 50th. So,
So that means is your daughter coming, or
no,
is it
she's
just?
never been, so she's going for the first time.
Oh, well, this is cosmic, isn't it? It's cosmic that you and I are talking. Like, fantastic. You've got a connection to Australia. You're coming back. Who knows what Kylie will be doing in the new year, by the
Yeah,
way, Angela? She might be
yeah,
on Sydney Harbour launching the fireworks. She's done that a few
yeah.
times. You
Book
never
her
know.
in. Book her in.
Are you going to be going to the fireworks on Sydney
Yeah.
Harbour?
Yeah, we did it 25 years ago and it's incredible.
So
So
for the year
yeah.
2000, you did it.
It was 1999. Yeah, yeah.
Jeez, that was still a
So
big
yeah.
one. That was still
Yeah,
a big one.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
every fireworks display around the world was set to Prince's 1999 that year.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And we never got to climb the Sydney Harbour Bridge, so we're now gonna do that.
I don't think it
So
was open back then, was it? Because that's only a fairly recent. It wasn't, so maybe you couldn't, but you're certainly going to climb it this time, are you?
yeah, yeah, we're definitely gonna do it this year. So it's all booked.
Oh, fantastic. Gee, you have some plans and some dreams and some hopes. Are you working hard
Yeah,
in between? Is it mundane
yeah.
everyday life in between?
Yeah, I work, so yeah.
Welcome to the club, Angela. The working
I
schmoes.
know.
We can't afford to follow Kylie around. We'd love to. But there you go. I'm so pleased you're coming to Australia. You're going to have an absolute ball. And it sounds like
Thank you.
Lydia's first experience in Australia too. She's going to love it. Just keep her away from the sharks, keep her away from
Yeah.
the boxing kangaroos and the jellyfish and the spiders, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, just stay safe.
Just
Yeah.
stay safe. Yeah, stay away from the animals, all right? They're good to look at, just don't get up close and personal.
No.
Angela, I love the sound of you and your family. I really do.
Thank
It's
you.
it's been amazing talking to you.
And you. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
G'day, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm brilliant. It's so good to hear your voice because you've been to 2 tension shows, I believe. 2.
2 tension shows, yes. I went to one on Saturday night and one on Tuesday night of this week in Manchester, and the first one is in Newcastle.
Wow. How are you feeling now? A little bit of time has passed, but I know how much you were looking forward to both those shows, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. A little bit husky because I've lost my voice a little bit, but it's been absolute worth every penny, every penny.
Are you husky because of the tour, because of the concert?
Yeah, very much so. With all the screaming and singing and you know, just embracing the atmosphere with all the fans. It was just it was like another parallel universe. It was amazing.
Oh, parallel universe. I'm hearing that sort of language a lot, Chris. Can I ask, are you one of the ones that goes, Kylie? Or what do you yell out when you're using your big husky voice?
Yeah, I'm the one that's shouting Kylie, yeah. Yeah,
Do you ever shout out? Because sometimes you hear the occasion. There's some very clever people in tours of all kinds, but particularly with Kylie. My guess is they've been to the show at least once before, because they seem to be able to anticipate the quieter moment where they can get the attention of her by going, "I love you, Kylie."
Yeah,
and I always wonder, how do they know when to yell? It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. I mean, I am one of those people. I just wait for the quiet moment and then just shout, and then luckily, you know, sometimes she'll glance over to see where it's coming from, and then you know in your heart that she's looking over it, yeah, because she knows the direction where the Kylie voices come from.
So forgive the reference, but did she look your way?
Oh, most certainly.
That's what you're going to tell yourself anyway. I've never. I have to say that I'm. It was Showgirl Homecoming, Sydney, show number 1.
Yeah.
And the ovation went forever. And when she had the red dress, I think she's singing Dreams at that point. I know she looked at me. I know she did. Only time in my life. I know she looked at me just before she span around. And I was like, oh, that's the first time we've ever connected eyes. I like to think anyway, Chris. I like to think.
Yeah.
So you've waited a long time for her to return to the UK, right?
Right, yes. It's been, the last time she was here was in 2018, I believe she mentioned, and that was with the Golden Tour. So we've waited quite a while because obviously we had COVID and the restrictions, all that brought. And she was unable to tour, but she did the online intimate disco show for everybody that the disco album couldn't tour. But to be fair, when she did this Tension tour, she does pay homage to the disco era, and she does do a selection of songs from that disco era, and she makes, you know, such a speech about that time in her life, and she does get quite emotional on stage about that and how important that time in her life was, and how people were able to reconnect through her music, and obviously that song called Say Something, it become a different meaning in itself, because the lyrics that were used in that song, it actually brought people together, and that wasn't what the intention of that song was. It's just the way it happened.
There's a lot of coincidences like that in Kylie's career, I've noticed. Lots of, like you say, what are the lyrics in Say Something again? It's love is love, it never ends. Can't we all be as one again?
Let's get big as one again, yeah.
And you're so right, Chris. The fact that came out when we were all locked away in our little pigeonholes across the globe, just amazing. Because I thought for sure she wrote it, but she said at the time, no, this was written before the lockdown.
Yes, it was written before the lockdown, and if I'm rightfully right, I don't believe the single was actually intended for Kylie Minogue. It was intended for another artist.
Is that right?
Yeah, but Kylie ended up getting a demo of that track, and then obviously the powers that be with Kylie and her management team, they ended up releasing that track for the disco album. So yeah, it was intentionally recommended for another artist.
I know you're going to talk to us about the Tension tour, because that's what everyone's coming on the show for at the moment. But what did the disco album mean to you? Because I can honestly say that I had a podcast at the time called, Disco, a lockdown vaccine or something like that. A bit of a naff title, but it meant so much to me. Locked away, scared for my children, because easy now to look back and go, well, COVID, you know, we got through it, but we didn't know at the time if it was going to get worse, if it was going to mutate and kill us all. Honestly.
Well, we didn't. I mean, when Kylie released that disco album, I mean, it played a very big part in my life. And, you know, when it came out on vinyl and stuff, I had it on constantly. And when she did the Infinite Disco online, and, you know, I had my Kylie wine, and, you know, and nobody was allowed in the house, you know, and I was I
Lonely.
was I was with a partner at the time, and they were at the other end of the country, and they couldn't even come home. So I was literally stuck in a house doing my work and looking after three children at the same time. So it had its challenges, but I just listened to that album loads, and I've bought it in all formats and whatnot, and have a lot of paraphernalia that comes with it.
So, Chris, sorry to interrupt, but during COVID, you and your partner have 3 children together,
That's right. Yes, yes,
but your
yes.
partner couldn't get home because of lockdown, or you were
That's right.
is that what you're
No,
saying?
he couldn't get home because of lockdown and the restrictions. He was at the other end of the country, and I was at the top end. And we just and it was like that for a good 14 to 16 months.
And the
It
kids
went on
weren't
like
going to
that.
school, were they? The kids weren't going to school.
No, they had to be schooled at home.
Yeah.
So parents had to go and collect lessons from the school, and then teach those lessons at home until they found out how to use a platform to teach the children from iPads and technology and things. But for a good, I would say, for a good 3 to 4 months, it was down to parents doing the teaching from home.
And
So that was
how old were the kids at the time?
at the time. Till my youngest was maybe about 9, and then my middle two kids, they were 12 and 13.
You had your hands full. How long did this go on for?
For about 18 months on and off. About
What, without
18
your
months.
partner for 18 months?
Yeah.
You're
Because
joking.
obviously we didn't know much about our the powers of above. Let's just say we didn't know a great deal about it, and I was scared for my children, and I didn't
Yeah,
want I didn't want them struck down with anything.
yeah.
Um, Although he wanted to come home, I couldn't risk him coming home because I didn't know if he would have had the symptoms.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
have the COVID virus but not showing the symptoms, so he could have been a carrier. So it wasn't out of necessity; it was just out of choice.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't risk him bringing in the infection into the household when I'd kept it sterile and clean.
Yeah.
So it was just one of them things, unfortunately, and we had just had to deal with it at the time. But
And how did the kids cope with that long, locked up? But don't get me wrong, I'm sure they love your company, but that's a long time in close quarters, isn't it?
yeah, it was. My youngest son. It's changed him for life. Before COVID, he was outgoing and quite a social lad, but now he's really quiet now. So it's changed his perception of life massively. But my other two sons, they're doing great now. They're both they're a chef, each of them, and they work in restaurants, and they've got their own lives now, and they're doing great. They're doing great. It's just my youngest son. The whole COVID thing has just thrown him sideways, to be
Well,
honest.
the two eldest boys were probably a little bit older enough to understand and be resilient. For
Yeah,
was he scared at the time? Your then 9-year-old.
I, d- I think so. Just that, it was just a case of not knowing the known, if you know what I mean. It's just a scary place and time. My eldest two sons they kind of had an idea, but didn't fully appreciate or understand why we had to be in lockdown. Um, but my youngest son, he could become withdrawn a little bit, and I had to put a lot of work in with my youngest son. So it was a challenging time, to say the least.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry to hear that, but and as you are probably aware, it's not an isolated story. They say that there are so many children still feeling the effects in
Mm,
some way in their body. It is manifested somehow because children are social animals, and they were isolated for a long period of time. I believe in your country even longer than
yeah, it was just like they didn't have that social interaction. Like children, should have that social interaction with their fellow classmates,
Mm.
and they just missed all of that. And then when they finally did go back, it was a kind of strange environment because nobody had seen each other. The friends hadn't seen each other for such a long time,
Mm.
and they had to bring a new way of working into the school. And by the time they got through all of that, I mean, my youngest son was just about to move up a year in his secondary school, and then Yeah, it has changed him forever, or until he finds his feet again, And my middle son managed to get him a job in the restaurant where he works.
Is he about 15 now?
He's 18, but he's 18 now. But in the restaurant that he works in, he works at the same restaurant as my middle son. Because I thought that might do him some good, getting him socialising again with fellow workers, and he's just completed his program at college. He's doing a policing program
Okay.
because he wants to be a police officer in the UK.
This is your youngest you're still talking
Yeah,
about?
yes. And
Sorry, how is he 18? If he was 9 during COVID, how is he 18 now?
I might have got that. I might have got his age wrong around the COVID time.
Fair enough.
Just, when you get asked the question and put on the spot,
Oh no, I do that to people, Chris. Apologies, apologies. And but he's starting to come through it a bit though. He's got things on the boil. He's got purpose. He's got mastery. He's got
I mean, he's got purpose, and he's got a meaning now. And then he's building social relationships up through his workplace, and like I say, he's going to be going on to university to do his policing degree.
fantastic.
So hopefully at the end of that, he'll meet his dreams of becoming a police officer. So he's part way through that now.
And somewhere in the middle of all of this lockdown that you've just shared a little bit with us, and thank you for sharing that. You've got the disco vinyl on the record player.
Yeah, just to get me through it.
Did the kids love it as much as you did?
When I play Kylie, they say "Death by Kylie." They are Kylie fans secretly, but if any opportunity I have to play Kylie, I play it. And whether it's new hits, old hits, or whatever the current album is. So me kids are like, "Oh, Death by Kylie again."
See, you and I have that in common. I think my children almost feel obliged to roll their eyes, all of that, but I know they like it. And in fact, one of the greatest moments of my life was when I caught a Kylie song on my daughter, because she's particularly harsh on me about the subject. When I caught a Kylie song on one of her playlists, that was about as good as it gets in my life.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and the lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
So, Chris, the Tension Tour, it was what it was all about. Take us to that first night, which I think was Newcastle for you, wasn't it?
Oh, it was just the first night was just the anticipation and the build up to it. And just when we first walked into the arena and it said Kylie Kylie 2025 tour, and you just know that you're in for a good night. And we had a DJ playing as a support act. It was Georgie Hash, the drag DJ. So she did the warm up, as it were.
And was that good? Was the warm up?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, Georgie got the crowd going, and she played some familiar tracks that we're all used to listening to when we were in our clubbing days, as it were. And she played all those familiar tracks, so everybody was kind of on their feet. And then, of course, as soon as the lights dimmed down, the crowd was just phenomenal. That everybody just went. I don't know. It was just the atmosphere was just outstanding with the crowd and the noise. And next thing you know, Kylie's, you see her getting whizzed up to the ceiling on the stage on that lift, the seat that she sits on, and then the diamond emulates visually, and then you see Kylie inside this diamond, and it's just one of them images that you just won't forget. It was just, I'd never seen anything like this before. And compared to Kylie's previous tours, with she has the glitter and the glam and the feather boas and big feather costumes and a huge production. Had Kylie done a huge production along the lines of Showgirl, Aphrodite tour, I don't think it would have worked for this actual tour. I get the feeling that Kylie's done that. She's been there. She's done it. She's put it to bed, sort of thing. She's now embracing technology, and especially with the social media applications. And she's just totally embraced and gone back to basics and just using technology to create the visuals rather than actual props and visual aids and things.
Yes,
Um,
I can't agree more, Chris, because it's about the time and the place and the moment. And in 2025, it just feels like sleek, simplified is what
yeah,
it's about. Not to
yeah,
mention, you also think about the sound, right? But the tension sound isn't high camp, really. It's really not. It's exactly what she's done. It's the sleek visuals. That's what she gave us, and it
yeah.
matches the era. Matches the era.
It does, and the tension sound itself. I get the vibe. It's kind of still disco esque. It's still got that slight disco feel to it.
Hmm.
Because I know when she did the disco album, she was embracing the disco sound from the 70s, and she wanted to encapsulate that but make it current. But I think we still get a kind of snippets of that disco era in Tension One and in Tension Two. And I think that she's caught that imagination greatly with the Tension Two, and she's done it the right way. And like I say, had she used props and big scenery and and feathers and boas and all that kind of stuff, then it just this tour just wouldn't have suited that. It wouldn't have worked. So
Couldn't
what
agree
she's
more.
done, now, and she's slimmed it down, and yeah, it's 100% worked for her.
Chris, where were you sitting for the first show in Newcastle?
So in Newcastle, I was sitting in block 101, which was, if Kylie was at the corner of the stage of at the part where it comes out, and the corner, she was like facing me. So we were quite in reasonable distance. So it was a great view. And then the day after that show, I actually was fortunate enough to get tickets for Manchester. And again, I was sat in the same kind of area, but a lot more closer, if that makes
Oh,
any
wow.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And to have it so close and knowing that your pop idol, or your pop the queen. I mean, I call her the true queen of pop because she is to me. Um, just literally meters away from you, and when she's singing and dancing and all the rest of it, and you're there, you're sort of there in the Kylie bubble at that
Yeah.
time, and it's just one of those things that you'll never forget, never forget. And I think out of
Wh
all the tours that I've been to, I would happily say this is the best one she's ever delivered, ever
And I bet
delivered.
I haven't asked yet, but I bet you've been to all the tours too, have you?
Yes, I've been quite fortunate enough to go to them all. As any other fan, but normally I only go to one show because I think once you've encapsulated it once, you've got that that special something about it. But I enjoyed the show that much. I wanted to see it again, so I made the 3 hour drive to Manchester, um, seeing the show, and then made the 3 hour drive back at home.
Oh, good for you. What's it like being up that close to Kylie while she's performing? I don't think maybe with the exception of Anti-Tour, I haven't been that close. What's it like?
It's just oh, it's just a feeling that when she's looking in your. I mean, when she's not looking in at you personally, but when she's looking in your direction, singing, you just automatically feel that she's singing to you,
Mm,
but on a wider scale, and I don't know. It's just you get a feeling of excitement and a feeling of, oh god, she's actually singing towards us, and I don't know. It's just it's just something else. It's beyond any words that can describe the feeling. To be honest, it was just phenomenal,
uh,
absolutely phenomenal.
Chris, do you have what I call the time portal feeling? I'll describe to you what I mean by that. Kylie's part of my daily life. I'm either listening to her, watching her, letting her speak. So I watch interviews as well because I like the person as much as the music.
Uh-huh.
And I was there when I was, however young at the first tour. So when she's there in the building with me, I don't know. My brain almost can't compute all the experiences I've had with her, and she is literally there. So when you're that close to her while she's singing in your direction, as you say, are you going through a bit of a time portal, thinking of all the times that you've experienced with her in
Ki-
your life?
Kind of, and it makes everything that you've gone through in your life and you've relied on Kylie music, or You've heard Kylie talk about personal circumstances, of course, when she's talked about her cancer, and she's talked about mental health, and she's talked about, supporting children with the arts. And when you hear her interviews, and then you see her on TV and you listen to her music, it sort of brings that all together in that moment in time when she's in your presence. And
Yeah.
it's like it's totally worth it. And like you say, you do feel as if you're in some sort of time warp, or time zone. Like, is this really happening? Am I in the right building? And when Newcastle, especially when we entered the arena prior to Kylie coming on stage, you just had that feeling of, oh my God, Kylie is literally behind those curtains. She's Kylie is in that dressing room just behind them curtains, or she's making her way to the stage with a management team and the
Mm.
dancers. And yeah, it's just all of those emotions that come along with that, the excitement, the buzz, and just ready to anticipate the show and take it for what it is. And yeah, I think if anybody hasn't, or if anybody who is a Kylie fan and haven't yet been to a show, then when she's next in Australia with a new show, definitely go and see her. Um, but I do believe she's in the middle of writing another song. She mentioned in Manchester that she mentioned a few words, and she was like, "I'm writing a song about that, but I haven't quite got there yet." So
So just take this one slowly because you're giving us the goss now. So she's talking to the audience and she goes, "I'm writing a song about," and you use the word that. What is that? What was she referring
So
to?
she was talking to the audience, and she was talking about feelings and emotion, and then she was saying that she's currently writing a song about that,
Mm,
and she's not quite finished the song yet. So whether or not we see a new album with a feeling of of love and care and compassion, whether we see a downtoned album next, because realistically, since we had Disco, Tension 1, Tension 2, they've been quite energetic albums. So we might just see something along the lines of the Abbey Road Studio album that was released. So we might see something a little bit more relaxing, a bit more chill vibe. Who knows? Who knows? But she's definitely in the middle of writing something. Which you mentioned in Manchester. So
wow.
we'll just have to
Confirmation.
wait and see.
Yeah, you've certainly given. I didn't know that she told the audience she was
Yeah,
writing.
she, yeah,
I get
yeah,
an
yeah,
artist like
yes,
Kylie probably you could argue is always writing something, maybe, but I think there are a lot of strong indicators that we've got new music not too far
yeah,
away. It really does sound that way to me. So you were looking forward to, and I can't blame you because this is the type of nerd I am too. You were saying to me in text that you were looking forward to going to show number 2 so that you can sort of compare and contrast. Is it the
yeah.
same? Is there little subtle differences? What did you notice
Oh,
between Newcastle and Manchester?
well, in Newcastle, to start with, the arena is a lot more smaller.
Uh-huh.
It holds about 8,000 in Newcastle. And because it's such a smaller, it's more of an intimate kind of gig.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so Kylie was saying that, for the crowd wise and the anticipation and the vibe the crowd were given, Newcastle was up there. She said it was like a number one for crowd participation, and she couldn't thank us all enough for that. But I know I've never been to Manchester AO Arena before, and it was my first time in Manchester.
mm,
And when I walked into the arena, I was just completely blown away about the sheer size of it. You
really?
know, in Newcastle, it was like a two-tier system for
Mhm.
seating up, around the sides of the arena. Well, in Manchester, it was the kind of three, plus you had the studio box areas in
Wow.
between stands. Um, and I would say Manchester would probably hold a good 10 to 14,000 at least. At
Yeah,
least.
that's
Um,
sizable.
yeah, and compare that show to Newcastle, I have to say, I take my hat off to Manchester crowd. It was out of this world. It was.
Really?
It didn't even come close to Newcastle, and because Manchester in the UK is kind of like it's a kind of place where a lot of the LGBTQ community reside and live, and it's known as the LGBTQ capital of England.
Right.
And because Kylie loves the Manchester area for that, and I can honestly say that a lot of Kylie's audience are members of the LGBTQ community. Um, And that with Kylie, obviously, when she had her showgirl tour, she had to postpone the tour partway through because of a throat infection and a chest infection. And I think that's why she adores Manchester so much, because she feels that she's always got to kind of apologise for that, and then, and remember that she had to cancel that show midway through a show,
Mm.
and as a choice of that, as a result of that, I should say, she always gives more than 100% in those shows, and she, from what I can gather from the show I've just watched on Tuesday, the participation of the crowd and the interaction between Kylie and the crowd, and you know, I've never seen anything like it. And personally, I think Manchester was the better show of the two,
Okay.
just because the interaction and the relationship Kylie has with Manchester, um, purely based on that. And yeah, out of the two, Manchester was definitely my favourite out of the two.
Is Manchester the one where she was just given an award for, or not an award, recognition for playing the most shows in that?
Yes,
Is that one?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she got an award. She got an award for she's for the female, for the most famous, sorry, the female artist for the most shows at one arena. And with the Tension show that night, that made it the 34th time she has played at that arena, and she's actually the first female artist to achieve that record at that arena of all
And
time.
I'm terrible at maths, but bear with me here. We know that Kylie tours, in the early days, maybe once every 3 years. Look, what I'm trying to say is there's been some big gaps. If you think about when Intimate and Live, there had been a big gap before that. So when you average out 34 shows, if that's what you just said, and I think you did, and she's been around for like 35 years, on average playing one show a year. And I know that that's silly maths because it doesn't mean that, but because she plays a cluster of shows. But she's obviously sold that place out a lot, is the conclusion I'm
Yeah.
clumsily drawing here. She must sell it out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when she sells out with shows, I mean, I've even got it online this morning to check to see what tickets are available for Sheffield in Nottingham.
Are
But
you going to do it?
oh, I'm tempted. I'm
Oh,
tempted.
you are after this chat, Chris. Yeah, you are. I can tell a man who's got his mind made up.
So she always sells out for shows anyway, and and yeah, I was looking at Nottingham, and because I actually go away in a week's time on holiday, so
Oh.
I had to, if I'm going to go, it has to be between now and the 1st of June.
Whenever I listen to Tim and his panel of guests, my toes begin to curl, and I feel just the right amount of tingling all over my aching body. Now, let's get back to the show. Oh!
So, Chris, do you ever take your kids to the Kylie shows?
Yeah, well, my youngest son, not as much so at the beginning. I used to take either my middle son or my eldest son. So when it was Golden, I took my eldest son to Golden tour,
Yep.
and this current tour, Attention tour, I took my youngest son, and he was adamant that it was his first Kylie show, and and things like that, and but he totally loved it. He loves my youngest son loves a live performance.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't dance around and things like that, because I still think he's, obviously because of COVID, he's still quite apprehensive about being in a social space.
Yeah.
But that aside, he really enjoyed himself at the shows, and it was just it was nice to see, and I kept reassuring him that everything's okay, and you're enjoying yourself, and just of course putting his mindset and his health first in that show.
To that point, though, what were the crowds like? You've already said in Manchester a great representation of LGBT community, but was there were there young people like your son at the show?
Yeah. I mean, at both shows, you get your face filters been with Kylie since the start, likes of me, and we get all dinosaurs. We're all hot, aren't we?
Limping down the stairs, Chris.
Well, I was just about at Manchester. It was about 60 steps to me seat. But it was nice to see the younger audience enjoying Kylie, and what Kylie did at the Newcastle show and the Manchester show was identify the younger audience, and she was saying to the younger audience that this is maybe your first Kylie show, and I hope you do you proud.
Oh,
And she got and the camera zoomed in on the young children, if you were,
yeah.
and Kylie was just encapsulated that moment in time, and you knew that with the way the children were reacting to her, and Kylie was passing over roses to the children, and you could see that the children's eyes were just really illuminated at the fact that there's this major pop star on stage and the children are receiving roses from Kylie Minogue. I mean, come on,
Wow.
it doesn't get better than that, does it?
No, they honestly must just look at her as royalty, honestly, like, because she's almost otherworldly. Like, if you were that age, she's otherworldly to me. So I can't imagine what she's like to a young one. So I have to ask you, of course, on the B stage, she takes fan requests. What was she singing at the Manchester and
Oh,
Newcastle shows?
wow.
If you can recall, I'm putting you on the spot now, Chris.
Yeah, there was like the old favourites like I Should Be So Lucky.
Oh, yeah.
So she did an acapella of some of the older hits. Confide in Me, she did an acapella of that.
Sorry, she
Even
did
though
an
that's
acapella of Confide in Me?
she did, yes.
But that's part
And
of the set, though, isn't it?
it is part of the set, but because somebody had requested it, and she says, you will see something in the show, but the crowd were just insistent. And then, in Manchester, somebody shouted for "Especially for You." Well,
Yay!
the crowd went wild, and in
I would have.
the whole. See, look, this is the power of Kylie Minogue we're talking about here. So she started the song "Especially for You," and then the whole crowd in the actual arena, we all started singing, especially for you. And Kylie was just like, she had a little white chair on the stage. She took a seat on this chair. She took a seat on this chair, and she just let the audience sing the whole song to her.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was just out of this world, And where the audience were going a little bit quiet, might have been the younger generation that might have not have known the song or heard of the song. Kylie intervened and then got everybody back up to speed again, and and it was just amazing. And I'm going back to the show just slightly, digressing. In Manchester, one thing I noticed from Manchester to Newcastle is when she sang All the Lovers in Manchester,
Mm.
everybody put the phones on with the light off the
I've
camera.
seen that. I saw the footage and I was like, that doesn't happen every time.
No, it
Wow.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And in Newcastle, that certainly didn't happen.
It reminded me, Chris, it reminded me of when Madonna had to try so hard. I want this place lit up like a fucking Christmas tree. But Kylie, she didn't even have to ask a word, and they've all got their lights on. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was. I've never ever seen anything like that ever. And to me, it just looked like a million stars. And when you're in that moment.
Chris, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I know we were of the same vintage, I can tell. So did you have to reach in for like a pair of really thick spectacles so that you can find the settings on your phone to turn on the lights? And by the time you got it up in the air, was all the lovers finished?
I just got my son to do it.
Brilliant, Chris.
But I was taking that many photographs with my phone. My phone actually died, so I was like, I was saying to my son, right, you're gonna have to let me use your phone. So I ended up using my son's phone to take additional pictures with.
Oh, you had a ball. Hey, can I just go back to the especially for you moment? This is obviously what you described, and boy, you know how to tell a story, Chris. I really appreciate listening to you. Like, honestly, I'm there with you. But the especially for you is particularly special in the UK because it's almost like the home of especially for you. Jason, Kylie at the time, the biggest two people besides Charles and Diana maybe on the whole planet. And that song was Christmas #1, as we know. And she wouldn't have got that. And I'm not putting you down, USA listeners, because I know there's a lot of you, but she wouldn't have got that anywhere else. Maybe not even in Australia, but in the UK, that song is so beloved, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it is so beloved, and I think one of the reasons it worked so well over here is that when the video to that track was released, it was actually photographs of her and Jason together doing what normal people do: just go to the beach, go to shopping, go for a meal, and the videos in the background to that video were actually of her and Jason together, and I think that's why it resonated so well, because you know Kylie's audience in the UK, we see Kylie as, we see her as this pop star and this world phenomenon. And then we also see Kylie as, she's one of us. She's a totally down to earth girl, and she likes doing normal things. I mean, the day after Newcastle Arena, she was actually on a place called Sea and Beach. Totally unrecognizable to her fans. She didn't get once approached by her fans, and yet here she is walking down a local beach, and nobody would recognise her. And she had those, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but she's been wearing red tracksuit bottoms after the shows, and she had this big blue duffel coat on with a brown scarf and a baseball cap, and nobody recognised her at all. So she was able to just go for a normal stroll I should imagine with a member of a management team, just walking down the beach, just like anybody else, and I think that's why we adore Kylie as much as we do, whether you're to the side of the pond or in America or Australia, because she is just a normal person outside of work. And she just likes to do normal things, spend time at home, and being chilled out watching a box set, and all those kind of things she loves doing. And I think that's why Kylie's audience recognise her in in a work capacity, but also in her own personal time capacity as well. She's just one of us.
She's such a hippie at heart. And the other thing about Kylie that is so wildly different from most celebrities, not all but most, is that she is absolutely equally curious to ask about others, even the interviewer, if that's for setting, or certainly if she meets a fan, it's all about the fan, not about her, than she is about having to talk about herself. In the world of celebrity, these people, they don't even know they're doing it. And like, yeah, so I was doing this, and then I was doing, like, the word I.
Yeah.
And it's like the arrogance to think that people would care. But Kylie, she's just so curious about others. And I don't know. You and I could talk about Kylie all day, couldn't we?
We could, yeah.
All day. She is a remarkable human being. So, Chris, you're going to end up going to this next show, aren't you? As soon as we finish this chat, you're going on. You're finding your thick glasses, and you're going to get onto that website.
You know me too well.
Well, I'm feeling like doing it myself, actually. That's why I know what you're about to do.
I think so. It's either going to be Sheffield or Nottingham if I can get a ticket.
How far is Sheffield from you?
Sheffield's about 4 hours.
Ooh, okay. Would you fly or drive?
Just drive. And I would say Nottingham, probably about 4.5. It's not Nottingham's not that far away from Sheffield, to be honest. But it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it.
I'm not going to end this conversation, actually, and I've decided now. I want a firm agreement. What do you reckon, listeners? Should Chris be buying the ticket? You need to. Are you going to do it? Do it. You only live once.
You do, and right. To be fair, I probably am going to purchase a ticket, to be honest.
Let's pretend we're on the 1980s school playground. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. You're a biscuit through and through.
I am going to buy one. I am going to buy one.
Yay, we got it. Yes. You heard it here first, people. Chris is
about to buy
another tension show. Chris, you've just won the lucky prize. You're off to tension again. How wonderful is this?
Even though, I've seen it twice on this tour now, and in Manchester, it was just still the same buzz, the same excitement, even though I knew what was going to be coming.
Yeah.
The same feeling as if it was my first show of the Tension tour. was still there. It was still apparent. You're still excited. You're
Oh,
still
the
screamed and
heart's still
shouted,
going.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So all the nerves and all of that kind of thing, all the anxiety and building up to it is all still there on a second
Mhm.
show. And when I get the ticket for a third show, then I feel quite confident that all those feelings will still be there as if it was my first one.
So now that I've peer pressured you into it, I just feel a little bit of responsibility. So bear with me for a few more minutes, Chris. First of all, I hope there's enough time for you to tend to that throat of yours because it's sounding sore, my friend. What are you doing about the throat? A bit of honey and lemon? What's happening?
Nothing really.
You got to go into a salt gargle, my friend.
I couldn't do that. No way.
Do you know what a throat coat is, by the way?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, in my line of business, I have to know what a throat coat is. Basically, like there's some amazing herbal teas that you can get properly. You can get them from the Amazon and from the port. They probably don't come from any of those places, but get a throat coat, drink a lovely tea, get those vocal cords back. Don't talk as much, even though I can tell you're like me, you like a chat. But
Yeah.
just turn off the voice, save it, so that when Kylie comes again, you'll be able to do it all over again. We love you, Kylie.
And then go through the sore throat process again. But no,
Yes.
that's some sound advice. So I'll definitely look
advice.
these drinks up and see where I can get to soothe my throat a little bit, if anything.
Absolutely. I think, like you said at the beginning, it was all worth it. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Oh, it's been fantastic. And when you approached me to do this, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be on this podcast, and it's on the other side of the world, and and I'm really, really honoured to take part in this today. It's been exciting, and I've really enjoyed having this discussion today with yourselves and obviously for your listeners. And just thank you so much for give me the opportunity to talk about Newcastle and Manchester, and hopefully I might be back in touch, yeah, to talk about Sheffield or Nottingham, whichever one I go for.
The crowd will demand that you come back now. Now that we've heard the whole Tim pushed him into it business, we need to know what happened. We need to know what happens. And by the way, it's lovely that you said it's an honour to be here, but no, it's actually my honour to be talking to so many Kylie fans throughout the Tension era, from the US, from Australia, from Asia,
Wow.
everywhere she's been. I am the one who is saying thank you to everyone who comes on the show. And by the way, listeners, if you're going to the Tension show and you'd like to come on, you're more than welcome. It's an open door policy, my friends. Time to Talk Australia at outlook.com. Do what Chris did. Have a little sip of tea and go, oh, why not? I might as well just talk to this strange man in Australia. It's essentially how you made your decision, wasn't it, Chris?
Essentially so, yeah. I'm being easily persuaded, but what can I say? It was an opportunity to talk about Kylie Minogue,
That's the way I lure people in. I just say, listen, do you like talking about Kylie or not? And does your family reject you for talking about Kylie too much? Well, you've come to the right place. I'll talk to you all day about it.
All day. Without a doubt.
Absolutely. Chris, you take care of yourself. Go and take care of that throat.
I will do. And thank you so much for yourself, and thank you so much to the listeners. And, if you, just keep Kylie alive and keep playing the music, and I'm sure she'll be around for another 10 years or so, but just everybody just enjoy the Tension era. It's fantastic.
You're a lovely, lovely man, Chris.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Rest in peace, PWL. Kylie.
We're gonna do it. Let's get to it.
We are looking at the very last album that Kylie ever released with PWL. Coincidentally, ironically, whatever you want to call it, one of the team wasn't there anyway, so it was only made with Mike Stock and Pete Waterman. I've got two people joining me tonight to help us talk about the Let's Get To It album, which is a bit of a divisive album. Damien and Simon, welcome to the show.
How you going?
Fantastic.
Hey Damien, hey Tim.
Hi Simon. Damien, this is your first time. Welcome. Simon, you're a bit of an old hand at this. So what do we think about Let's Get To It? I mean, this album it's controversial amongst the fan community. Some people absolutely hold it up as, well, this was a turning point. This was maybe even the peak of the PWL days. Other people say it's a bit of a filler album in between. So
Hard to know. Where do you guys both sit on that?
When it first came out, I actually thought it was a filler album. I was really disappointed with the album.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was a hardcore fan. I felt like it was made by two different people, a dance artist and someone wanting to be soul. I think in years to come, I've actually sort of appreciated where it is and where it sits in her landscape, and I think. Whilst the dance tracks do sort of jump out at you, and they are quite good, and the sampling is impeccable on this record.
A lot of sampling, isn't there, Damien? A lot of sampling.
There's a lot of sampling. We'll get to that. But I do think that some of the without this record, they would know that she wouldn't have had, the foundations for the Kylie Minogue album. Using male backing singers for the first time where you could hear them prominently is a big thing in Let's Get To It, and it actually is quite a well-rounded record. You are right, it is a divisive record and people do have issue with the record. So
she grew from this so much. You're right, Damien.
As a Kylie fan who knows the narrative of her journey, her career journey, I think this album, when you listen to it as a fan who knows that story, you can actually feel the wrestle. I mean, you can feel the wrestle in even the lead single. There's two different mixes of it. One is sort of sexy and soulful, the Summer Breeze mix, which was on the Australian album. The other one is you can see Mike Pete Waterman all over it. He's determined to have this pop sound, the traditional pop sound. The video clip he was furious about. People aren't going to believe Kylie is a whore. All this sort of stuff. And then throughout the album, you can see the soulful bits, and you can hear the pop trying to cut through again. It's quite interesting to listen to from that perspective.
Yeah, I read somewhere where he was, writing one night or something, and he'd go upstairs and literally come running down, and he'd write it down, and Kylie would have it the next morning.
It was commonly known that he's very much an ideas man, and he'd come up with an idea and said, "This is a great one," and he'd come down and say, "Okay, we're doing this," or "This is a great song title. Let's do this." And I think this was the first album where she had turned around and said, "Well, actually, no, I want to sound like this. I want to sample, I want to sample, Shay Jones on right here, right now. I want to sample
different genres."
Yeah, and I think it was just one of those records that it broke the Stock Aitken and Waterman mold, because they had never been told before by an artist what to do. Yeah. They had told artists what to do.
She was overshadowing them by this stage. And I also think it's interesting, she definitely, in Rhythm of Love era, started to get the sense that, hang on, I could be a club. Then this mysterious Angel K, I believe, was born out of that feeling. The Angel K, she actually set up I'm Angel K, and that's where the B-sides, they weren't actually intended to be B-sides, as I understand it. Do You Dare and Closer. If you listen to those, I believe they represent where Kylie felt she needed to be.
But it was totally different to what she had been doing. But, I just love anything that the woman does,
We're about to go through track by track on Let's Get To It. But, Damien, as an album, as a whole, this has a feel, doesn't it? There is a feel to Let's Get To It.
There is it's a much more groovier, more adult feel than, say, the very hit-driven Rhythm of Love. Rhythm of Love was an album that was crafted in half in dance world, half in hits world. It was quite deliberate, and it works, and that's why this record is a lot smoother. It's a lot more adult. Her vocals are a lot more challenged than they have been in previous records, where she had shown off her range a little bit better with this record.
Yeah, she had a lot of different sounds and tunes and melodies, and they're all, enough for us, they were all really catchy. I remember listening to them, and each of them one by one, and even though the word is out, the whole album has nostalgic songs, and the duet she did with Keith was she had a hand in writing that as well. So that was a great song. I love that one too.
So it's a weird thing, because this album came out when I was in year 12, in high school, and it was the soundtrack to my year 12. So every time I
This is
hear
your
it,
HSC, is it, Damien?
yeah. So I'm showing my age here.
Three-unit English. Let's get to it.
Well, no, it kind of was. You know, it was kind of 3-unit English, 3-unit arts, 3-unit music.
That's what it is. That's what it is for us. Yeah.
How did I know
it's
there was
kind of like
English in there? I don't even know you, Damien. But as an album, you know, we've got the new jack swing influences of R&B. Before we get into track by track, I'd love to talk about the cover, because for me, this was it was a German photographer who actually created this cover. I absolutely. Still to this day, I love this cover. It's mysterious to me. I still don't know what the man standing over her is supposed to mean. But the lips, they stand out to me too, because that was the first time I actually noticed, I think she's starting to do a little bit of stuff with her face, even though it looked fantastic. I'm not judging it. But the lips are massive on this cover.
She loves lips. You love lips too, Tim. You got lips on yours as well.
What, you think? You reckon I've got big lips too?
No, on the cover, the photos. Kylie loves
the symbol for our channel you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Thought you were accusing me of having injectables there.
No, Kylie loves to pout. And she doesn't pout in pictures, but she just loves pictures of it.
And Damien, the cover?
It was such a great cover done by Jürgen Teller, I think it was. And even the dress, everything about the whole cover is sort of high fashion.
Yeah.
It was high gloss. It was very, very sort of street English Vogue at the time, and very 60s inspired as well, which was a really big thing, a big current trend in fashion at the time, and especially in the clubs. And you just look at the photography inside, the actual booklet.
Yes.
Oh, just stunning images.
Beautiful.
Stunning, very sort of minimalist, but still really striking and effective. And it's just actually one of my favorite covers.
She gives it the whole package, doesn't she, when she does?
Yes.
It doesn't matter what she does, she does the whole package. And it's done always with class and sophistication, and she's just so classy, isn't she?
I don't know if I'm overanalyzing it, but she had an interview around that time when she was recording for Let's Get To It, where she said, I wasn't allowed to look left, I wasn't allowed to look right, I was blinking. Yeah. This is the first album cover where she's not looking directly into the camera.
It just also looks like the first album cover that she's actually she's actually had an input in. And it's stunning artwork.
One of the classics. Let's start going down track by track. Obviously, we have the lead single, Word Is Out, a Stock and Pete Waterman song. As I say, when the video clip came out, a lot of people say it was controversial and parents were outraged. I don't remember that. People say it, but I think that was more of a media thing. It wasn't that shocking, was it?
No.
No. I think at the time it was more to do with the fact that it was a sheer outfit, and it made her look trampy in the eyes of very conservative media. But
I loved it.
Wasn't that?
I loved it. I thought it was great.
It was also the single. It's worth mentioning that it was the video clip that sort of started the real conversation about is Kylie trying to be Madonna. I mean, even the little boy in the clip, Open Your Heart, there's a comparison there. The type of outfit, wanting to use sex to sell music, a lot of things, this video clip. I think it was a lot of things, but I think they executed it really well. Davina McCall was in it, one of her best friends.
Well, Davina McCall was like the socialite, the bad girl socialite at the time, and I don't actually think that did her any favors at the time. But at the same time, it's a great snapshot video, and something that hadn't been done before by her. She'd done the cutesy, she'd done the fire, she'd done the half naked woman, she'd done the fashion shoot, she'd done Shopped, which is a whole load of things all in one. She'd done Locomotion. This was completely different, and I think it was the first time fans sort of went, okay, these are mini movies. And they're all different, which I think that's why fans actually like the video and defended the video with vigor.
Pete Waterman still to this day talks about how he thinks it was an error in judgment. There you go. But one quick question about Word Is Out before we move on to track 2: Summer Breeze mix or the British version?
British version.
Yeah, I'm going to go with British as well, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you traitors. Me, Summer Breeze, I'll go for it all the time. We want to know what people think, so leave a comment under this podcast. Which version of Word is out? Tells the story better. We move on to track 2. Give me just a little more time. Now, this caused magazine article after magazine article, mainly because of the infamous push-up bra.
Yes.
By the way, I
Chicken fillets.
yes, for chicken fillets. That's right. What's going on with Kylie's bazoom? That's the type of headlines we were getting at the time.
What a way to bring out your boobs. Good.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was a great video, and then they used it in a watch commercial in the UK, and it just flew. The record just went nuts.
Whatever she does it with class. I say it again, if it's done classy, she doesn't look bad, right. But no.
Now, did she do this before or after that boy band that made a shot-by-shot remake?
Oh, yes, I have.
It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw
a bit
this.
of it.
I think it was that band with Robbie. Wasn't it Robbie Williams's? What are they called?
Take that. Yeah,
could it Take That?
I think it was.
Could have been Magic. Yeah, could have been Magic.
Yeah. But I think there's a I don't know. There's a connection.
So
I think Danny's connected.
And of course, we can't.
I agree with Damien.
Simon, we can't let this one go by without the brrr, like that wasn't in the
original.
Yeah. She's fascinated by the fans being fascinated by that sound.
She shouldn't be.
Because it was peculiar.
It's genius. It's genius.
That purr is just it's a sign in the song. It's a calling. I don't know what it is. It's just perfect.
You get to start the extended mix with that sound. It's a very special moment. Can we move to track 3? Too Much of a Good Thing. I always wonder. I think her vocals are too soft in this track, but there you go. It's a great track.
Yes.
Just wonder why her vocals are so soft.
You can definitely hear Miriam Stockley in the background, and you can hear Kylie, and they haven't really mixed the vocals too well. But legend has it was a dance track that Stockache and Waterman had put together, and she had helped put together, and they were going to release it as some sort of underground track, and then it just was so strong. They kept it. They just kept this track and rushed it onto the record.
Is this the one with the alleged sample from Janet Jackson?
Yes,
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I think you enjoy.
I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Yeah.
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 And I think there's some sort of moaning samples from a couple of sort of New York underground, sort of Salt and Pepper-esque type.
Yes, that's it. That's what Salt and Pepper.
There's nothing better than a good moaning sample, I've got to say. And I can never think of Too Much of a Good Thing without thinking of the Let's Get to It tour, of course, too.
Yeah.
Because, wow, that routine was a real up yours to anyone who wanted to pigeonhole her as a pop puppet. We'll go on to Finer Feelings, track 4, and single 3. No, actually, I think it was single 4, to be honest. I think If You Were With Me Now it was a Christmas single from memory down in the UK. But Finer Feelings is track 4, nonetheless. This was also remixed for the single version, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was done by the guys who wrote "Confide in Me" for her. Ironically,
this was their first
Dave Seaman
work together, wasn't it?
It was
Brothers in Rhythm.
Dave. Brothers in Rhythm. I actually prefer the Brothers in Rhythm version because it just sounds so complete. It sounds like just such a beautiful mix of electronica and her voice and that sort of sorrow classical sound, and it's just the video is stunning. She's in Paris. It's just everything about that track is just amazing.
And the packaging, because there was a 12-inch mix which is just haunting and beautiful. I love that.
I just love the song. It has a very special place in the album as well. I think it makes the album as well. I just love the song.
Track 5 on the album is If You Were With Me Now. Now, this is a duet with Keith Washington, who fans allege has never been heard of again since, and probably the fans are right. He's a bit of a mystery figure like Jazzy P, I've got to say. If You Were With Me Now is beautiful, though, isn't it? And the video clip, stunning as well. Another class act.
Yeah, apparently she met him for the first time on the video, which I think was quite amazing.
I heard they didn't even meet on the video. Were they together in that video clip? I know they didn't record it together.
No,
I can't tell you. I don't know.
They didn't record it together, but there's apparently he had shown up for his part, and they wanted to reshoot something for her, and they met for the first time. And she, yes, as she was shooting. She was shooting up the part with the scarf on her head, and it was being done by the same production company. So she went in and shot her part and met him, and apparently that was the only time she'd seen him.
You know, and she had a hand in writing this song as well. So, you know, some of the lyrics come from her.
Yeah, and even the cover of the single is a really big picture of her kneeling down.
With a little star,
and I think there's this tiny little picture of him in the corner. So
I remember it was black, wasn't it? I think I owned about 4 copies of that.
Yeah, I think I still own 4 copies of that. It did have a killer B-side, though.
Yeah, well, the B-side was, I Guess I Like It Like That, wasn't it?
Exactly, and that was a number 1 dance track for her, pretty much.
Oh, she had
everywhere.
number one on the dance charts. I remember that.
Yeah, that was an amazing killer song too. See,
and I remember hearing it for the first time and going, she's not in it very much. But then again, I was 17 and wanting her to sing the whole thing.
Get out of the way, Keith. Just step aside, would you? This isn't your album.
Exactly. Sorry, mate, you got to go.
Yeah, that's it. Then we come to the title track, Let's Get to It. Now, I love this track, and of course, this is the you referred to it before, Simon. There's an acoustic version she does as part of the package of Let's Get to It concert. Beautiful, and I really like this track. I think it's sounding a little bit dated these days. I'd love to see it updated.
I'd like to see this particular track remixed and updated for now by someone, by a great remixer that's happening right now. That would really work for me, because we've heard an acoustic version, obviously, from the Let's Get to It tour. We've heard a live version from the Let's Get to It tour. We've had an album version. What about something really different, like a harder dance version, or something that's bigger and bolder?
Then we come to track 7. Now, this is the first time she released a song by this name, Right Here, Right Now. Very poppy, and I always think it's the genuine cousin of track 8, which is Live and Learn. So maybe we'll talk about these two together, because they go together for me somehow. Right Here, Right Now, and Live and Learn. What do we make of this?
Right Here, Right Now would probably be one of my favourites on the record, full stop. I know it's a complete rip-off of Are You Gonna Be There by Shay Jones. I'm well aware that it's basically the instrumental of that track with her new singing over the top. I loved that track anyway. I love Kylie's version. I think it's genius. I think it's very clever the way they've mixed what was a very, very big club track at the time and sampled it heavily for this track. I think her phrasing, everything about it, brilliant. Live and Learn, yet you're right, is the cousin. I don't think it's as strong, but I think Right Here, Right Now is just, to be quite honest, it's one of the highlights of the record now. It should have been a single. Yeah, this is a really good example of when sampling goes right, and that Right Here, Right Now, this version of Right Here, Right Now is such a great. It should have been higher up on the record. It's one of those.
Oh, I'm hearing your passion, Damien. You love this track, don't you?
Love it. Because I think it was the bridging the gap between this record and her in dance culture.
Yeah,
this was exactly what was being played in the clubs. It was very much. I think it was the original was put out by Defected back in '91, and by Shay Jones, and that you can listen to the original on YouTube, and it's just one of those tracks that I just thought, the first time I heard it, I was like, this is great.
Then we move through to track 9, which is the beautiful No World Without You. The album track is consistent on all the versions of this around the world, but there is a more stripped back version of No World Without You too. Beautiful little track, this one, and really showcases her voice at the time.
Yeah. It was. I think it was I call it more a ballad, but it was just really nostalgic, and also it reminded me of some previous ballads.
It's also a really good track, just before the end of the record, where it just you've had all this electronics, and you've had all this dance beats and pop beats, and then there's this, and then it sort of goes wow, and you go wow. Not only can she sing, but this is it's a beautiful melody.
It just calms you down. Yeah, I agree. And then of course it leads into that. Get ready for this. Build up to, I guess I like it like that. The closing track, let's get to it. What do we make of this track? Because this was really, even for this album, which was already different. I remember when I came to that track going, whoa, that is real 90s stuff right there.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's a great, it's one of those tracks that I would be hard to convince that you could put on in any dance club now. And people would still not be able to dance to it. It's one of those club tracks that everybody knows. Well, everybody in dance culture knows. And
how does it go again? Can you just do it?
Dun, 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 dun. Like it's
yeah, and she really belts that out in the live version too. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just a great song, and it's fun, and it's the best way to leave the record with. It's her sort of sayonara to the Stock Aitken Waterman years. Ironically, not the last song she recorded for Stock Aitken Waterman, but
because of those bonus tracks for the greatest hits you're talking about there.
Yeah, well, the Celebration was supposed to be on Let's Get to It, according to Pete Waterman, and Mike Stock said no, it wasn't, which I find weird. I can't see Celebration being on.
No, don't do it. Don't ever do it, Kylie. If you rebrand and repackage, don't do it. Doesn't fit.
I don't think it fits the record. Pete Waterman's adamant that it was supposed to be on the record.
Wow.
Well, it wasn't.
But he has an imagination.
He does rewrite history, that man. I have nothing but respect for him. But every time he tells a story, including I Should Be So Lucky and how it came to be, the time frames change, what she was doing in the waiting room changes, how often she came back changes. Like, it's like, he can spin a yarn. Do we have any information about chart positions and about, how this fared in the commercial world?
It didn't fare very well at all. In the commercial world, in both.
I think in Australia, it didn't even go platinum. I think it went gold, is my recollection. Yep. This is an important album for a completely different reason. I actually also remember a headline at the time, Kylie Faces Failure, and it was a fascinating interview with her, actually. It was very honest. It said, for Kylie, who up to that point, everything she touched turned to gold, this was the first time that it certainly couldn't have been called a failure. It was not a failure, but by her lofty standards, this wasn't up there. So it was an interest, and she was very honest in her responses too. She said, I get why people criticise me because it's so hard to get a hit.
From a standpoint, I think this record holds the test of time for me with a lot of the dance tracks, and I think they stand up better than, say, the pop tracks for me, because I listen to them and go, that takes me back to year 12.
Electronica.
A lot of nostalgia for you, and I've got to say that again, I say this with all her albums, if you want to really understand Let's Get to It, listen to it from beginning to end in order, the way it was meant to be, because you will really get a sense. It takes you on a bit of a journey, and it's definitely got this beautiful feel to it as a package, which I do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tim. And if you do that, if you do what Tim says, I can guarantee you'd listen to it again, and then you will listen to it again after that, and then it will become a very favourite album.
The bonus tracks?
Oh yeah, Do You Dare, Closer, Say the Word, and obviously the Brothers in Rhythm remix of Fun Feelings, because I've created my own sort of iTunes playlist of that record. So there's no way I'm leaving that out. But,
and I'm glad you mentioned Save a Word there, because that's a brilliant track. And those clubby tracks that you mentioned there, yes, people have got to get their hands on those and have a listen. They're really interesting tracks to listen to. Damien and Simon, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep, let's get to it.
See you, friends.
See you next time.
That period, I didn't know what I was at that time.
In retrospect, looking back at that track, it wasn't successful. But I don't think it was a mistake, and I don't regret it, because I learned a lot during that period.